Hello, my name is Yew. I'm one of the Malaysian representative from the school Sri KDU Secondary School of Kota Damansara, and I'm here with Jing Shii.
Yes, I am Jing Shii, and I'm also from Sri KDU Secondary School from Selangor, Malaysia. All right, let me share the slides and then we'll begin.
We can see your slides.
All right, I will begin now. Now, a sustainable agriculture is one which depletes neither the people nor the land. This is a direct quote from Wendell Berry, who is an American novelist and an environmental activist. Hello, once again, I'm Yew.
And once again, I'm Jing Shii, and we are part of the main committee of the Eco School Programs, which is a club that focuses on all things eco from Sri KDU Secondary School from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And our aim is to spread awareness on environmental issues amongst both the Actually, you might have seen our earlier members give their speech earlier in the program about our other project, which is known as the Green War.
Now, with that being said, Jing Shii and I are here today to talk about one of our projects, which is the indoor vertical farm. Now, but before I even continue on to that, assuming that everyone here is human, it's safe to assume that all of us here require food in order to survive. There is currently a critical global challenge that our generation need to address. And no, it's not climate change. It's actually food and agriculture. Ain't that right, Jing Shii?
That's right, Yew. It is said that the world's population is projected to reach 9.8 billion in 2050. And that's a crazy number. What's more, 68% of us are actually living around in urban city centers. And with that being said, we'll need to increase our agricultural output by 70% to feed this massive population by then. And just to put this number into perspective because it's a big number and you can't really fathom it sometimes, but we will need to produce more food in the next 35 to 40 years than the previous 10,000 years combined. Not only is our global population becoming bigger, but it is also becoming extremely denser. We will need to grow significantly more food using significantly less land and resources.
Now that's simply horrible, Jing Shii. What's more is that globally, 1/3 of all the food that we have produced is actually being wasted. That's about 1.6 billion tons of food. It includes food that gets spoiled on the way to the market, expiring in our refrigerators, or simply being thrown out by supermarket and restaurants at the end of the day. All of these factors, of course, contribute to the food wastage and shortage on a global scale.
Not only that, but every single year, about 600 million people, yes, 600 million people will get sick from eating contaminating food. This further highlights the challenge we'll have in maintaining global food safety. And unsurprisingly, the agricultural industry is the single largest consumer of fresh water, accounting for nearly 70% of global usage.
Now, you are correct, Jing Shii. But thankfully, the agriculture industry and the global movement by university, companies, and NGOs are actually putting together comprehensive research as well as developing novel technology to address all of these issues. And one of the most recent innovation in food production is actually controlled environment agriculture, which is also known as climate-proof farming or indoor vertical farming. Many of these farms, of course, are grown three-dimensionally in vertical racks, as opposed to the two dimensions of conventional farms.
And that leads us to our main topic of the day. Indoor vertical farming is the practice of growing produce stacked upon one another in a closed and controlled environment. And we firmly believe that indoor vertical farming will pave the way for the farming industry in the future and might very well be the solution to many problems such as food production for humanity.
Now, do you remember Jing Shii? One of our club teacher advisors, Miss Eva, has actually found the concept of growing, cooking, as well as eating her own food was very rewarding and had shared this knowledge with the school. Thus, Sri KDU Secondary School had actually started our very own indoor vertical farming space. And we've been trying to grow our own food using said indoor vertical farming units before the lockdown even began.
I do remember that actually she had given us an amazing and inspiring talk to our school students. And from there, we were able to learn and grow microgreens in Sri KDU Secondary School's own indoor vertical farm. But I might hear some of you wondering, what are microgreens?
Yes, Jingxi, what exactly is microgreen? Do enlighten me.
Well, microgreens are considered young vegetable greens that are considered baby plants, falling somewhere between a sprout and a baby green. And actually, scientific research shows that these microgreens are jammed packed with nutrients and are actually much more nutritious than matured greens.
That is incredible. Seems like I need to start eating more microgreens instead. Anyway, vertical farming actually brings a lot of advantage to us on an everyday basis. Well, for one, we are actually able to grow food all day, every day. What's more, it is able to protect crops from unpredictable and harmful weather agents or weather events. Seeing as our farm can be managed indoors, the vertical farm actually eliminates the need for pesticide, fertilizers, or herbicide. Lastly, it also reduces the dependence on fossil fuels, as well as stop agricultural runoff, which is actually the main cause of water contamination to today.
Agreed. But that's not all. With this style of farming, we'll be able to harvest more and waste less, seeing as indoor vertical farming uses less water than traditional agriculture, yet is able to produce 5 times more on the same space. That's right, 5 times more food being produced on the same footprint. And I think that's frankly amazing. And as you can see here on the slide and our background, this is an example farm that we set up in our school. And we hope to have one of these units in every classroom in our school in the future, with the students being responsible for their own crops. This will allow students to have a more hands-on experience in growing their own food. And from there, students will be able to eat their own microgreens that they've grown. And I know from personal experience that this will be an extremely rewarding as you will be able to taste the fruit of your own labors and will actually teach kids to be a bit more grateful about the foods that they eat. And plus, the microgreens that aren't eaten can actually be sold, in which the income will be used to bankroll for the next following month's production, creating a cycle.
Wow, now that's truly beneficial. I think all in all, vertical farm uses renewable resources so that there's no longer a danger of running out of it. It is sadly an unfamiliar concept to many people, but as we continue to implement more sustainable features in our infrastructure, we can actually expect to see many more vertical farms being established in the future, seeing as it is actually very achievable and easy to maintain as well. But the inaction is mostly, of course, due to the majority of the population who lacks the understanding and exposure to such a concept.
And that's why we're here today, in order to educate more people to be more aware about indoor vertical farming. And this project has showcased that sustainability is not a hard thing to achieve, and that more people should try living sustainably. And we certainly hope that we will be able to pave the way for the path for the younger generation to both gain the knowledge and experience in indoor vertical farming.
And that brings us to the end of our talk today. We'd like to thank our teacher advisors and on all those that have supported us till this way. We thank you all for listening, and we will now be answering any questions or inquiries on this topic.
Wow, that was an incredible presentation. You two make a wonderful team. I don't know what your plans for the future are, but I recommend that you do it together because you really have a wonderful relationship. First of all, I feel badly now. I didn't realize that microgreens were actually babies, and I feel sad about eating babies. Let me ask you a question. I know you're from Malaysia, and in that area, you have a rather standard climate. It doesn't change a lot. I mean, the temperature during the year. But where I live in North America, our temperatures in the year vary from a low of -20 all the way up to a high of maybe 40. Will this program work in an environment with extreme temperatures like this?
Yeah, actually, the vertical farming, the good thing about this is it is actually achievable on all countries, basing no matter how different your climate, weather, or even temperature may be, because all of it seems as is done indoor. There's actually been many institutions that has used mechanics and technologies to help maintain a steady temperature indoors. So it doesn't matter on the climate on outside. All it matters is the condition you kept within the housing area or your farming units.
Yeah, think of it similar to a greenhouse where you maintain the temperature on the inside, so it is not affected by the weather outside.
Okay, so for example, where I live, in the winter, the greenhouse is shut down because it is so cold and it is so expensive to maintain that warm temperature that they can't operate, and they really turn themselves off during the winter.
Yeah, but since this one is, you can actually do it as an individual, right? So let's say if you only like, if you can see behind me, right? Like for example, there's like, you can have a small tray, and to maintain that small tray is actually much easier to, let's say, a greenhouse, which has to help and maintain an entire like house. So actually the cost of maintaining a small patch is actually, how to say, it is sustainable compared to, let's say, a whole greenhouse.
Great, very good, very interesting.
Just can I ask a question here?
Yeah, please.
You've got, you were talking about microgreens being very nutritious. And yes, it would seem that that is the case, obviously, but they're not filling. How do you feed the family? So in your vertical internal garden, can you grow other products, other vegetables?
Yes, actually, originally indoor vertical farming was meant to grow like actually like more like full-grown plants and all. But since we're a school institution, right, and growing the plants all the way to mature is might be a bit challenging for us. So that's why we settled for microgreens, in which it'll be able to give us more nutrition and whatnot. But it is entirely possible to grow plants all the way to maturity.
Because this
Okay,
concept
thank
is
you for that. And then what about the lighting? Do you have grow lights? If this is an internal project, do you have grow lights? How is it actually set up? Do you use other means, other ways of farming, or do you use soil only? Could you explain your setup?
That's the thing. Because it is a very small setup, we actually, growing microgreens, we actually need only very little amount of soil. And sometimes the microgreen can even grow purely on water itself. Such as you can implement hydroponic concepts.
Yes. Okay. Now, what about your lighting?
Oh,
Because
lighting, we actually
plants need sunshine.
Yeah. For the plants that need sunshine, we actually attach small UV lights or any light sources around it. Because these are microgreens, they're very easy to grow with actually very little amount of exposure to real sunlight.
Okay, again, we're talking about microgreens, but if I'm talking about, well, carrots grow underground, but nevertheless, they still need sunshine.
Yeah, for the more like commercial
and my
plants.
next comment was going to say, and so do potatoes grow underground. But at the same time, we still need some kind of sunshine.
Yeah.
So I'd like to ask you that. And then the cost of setting up something like this at home. Have you investigated that at all?
Sorry?
I would. Oh,
sorry,
sorry,
the cost.
The cost is actually very much affordable, considering since it's such a small unit, everything we don't have to buy on a large scale. The UV light that we bought, we actually make it so that we can fully expose the area with only one small light source needed. Okay, and because all of it only needs small spaces, we don't actually have to buy multiple products to help.
Okay, thank you.
Actually, those are very good questions. And if I can make a recommendation, that you put together a parts list, and just don't say to people, oh, you need a light, you need a tray. You actually put together a list of all the things that you need, and actually go and find sources for them, saying, oh, this kind of bulb would be good, this kind of light fixture, this structure. So I see, for example, you have something behind you. It would be good if you listed every single part and say, here's what we used and here's what it cost. that would really help people do this?
I think yeah, that is something we'll have been actually doing, because in our school, because we have the club itself, we've actually spent a good chunk of the end of 2019 and the beginning of 2020 to teach the kids in the club how to maintain and make these type of farm. And for those that want to do it themselves, they can always send pictures and update us on their progress.
Yeah,
It
we just
seems like-
didn't really include like what they need and all, because like different plants, it's like different setup. The thing about this project is that it's so versatile that if you do a little bit of research, right, you can use a lot of different parts. So for us to say, oh, you should use this or this is recommended, right, could be false, because for another country, another type of lighting could be much more beneficial, you know?
But to be honest with you, people are not going to want to do that research and try and figure these things out and then be afraid that they're going to buy a light and it's not going to be the right one. So the more information you give them, the more likely they're going to do it. If I were a child and I went to my mother and I said, we want to do this, she would say, I don't know how to wear the parts. What do I do? Give people that information. It will help them.
Definitely.
It almost sounds like that idea of having an allotment. So you live in the city and you catch the train in allotment, which is a very small patch for your garden. So now these are internal allotments. So you can build your own allotment in your own home, like on your balcony, if you live in the sky somewhere.
Actually, if you guys do want the prototype, we are able to share with like currently like the prototype, like what it would take.
Oh, do you have that? That would be great.
Yeah, I have that. I was trying to find it. Hold on. Let me share my screen.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. So this is one of the examples that we did.
This is exactly what I was talking about. This is perfect. This is great.
Yeah, so this is an example of it.
You had the information. This is great. Very good. So now, is this everything that I need?
Yeah, for a small setup, yes.
And where do I get the microgreen seeds?
Well, actually, to be a bit more specific, microgreens could just be normal seeds, but then you just harvest it early, you know.
Okay.
Most of us, if you're doing it from home, we actually started since primary. Some kids actually just use like green bean seeds, which you can get from local supermarkets. So it's very easy and manageable for them.
Okay. So that's another thing you should put in your list. Say, you don't have to get these official microgreen seeds. You can just get any seeds from whatever you want to grow. The more you help people, the more likely they're going to do it. Can you also put together a cost analysis saying this is what it's going to cost to do this, and this is the benefit that you're going to get from it? So, for example, most people have no idea what a bag of peat moss costs. Now, I know it costs different amounts in different countries. I absolutely know that, okay? But if you can give an example of, oh, you've got stuff.
Yeah, this is in our Malaysian ringgit, and we haven't exactly converted it, but this would be around how much it would be, for example, for us.
It's fine. It's fine. It doesn't have to be converted, because you can't convert it to every country and every currency. But this gives people some idea. So I have a question then. Why do you have all this other information and you're not telling people? Why are you hiding this?
Oh, no, we wanted to make, to a certain extent, we didn't want to like jam pack this with so much information. And like, if there's too much information, some people might not be able to process it. So we wanted to like start it off and like introduce the entire concept first. And maybe next time, if we ever come back, then we'll be able to like go more in depth into it.
So for example, I happen to know that a T5 is a type of light. And that would be very, very important for people to know that that is the type of fluorescent light that you're talking about. Okay. And that's the kind of thing you should tell people. And I think people will be able to figure it out. And I mean, maybe not people my age, but certainly people your age can figure this out. And this is great. So what other information do you have that you haven't shown us? unveil your secrets. Show us the rest of these slides. These are all the hidden slides. Start at the beginning. I want to see the rest of the hidden slides.
No, this slides was actually used as the proposal to our school to start off this project. So yeah, there was a lot of like hypothesis and stuff like that.
Well, I want to see it. Do you understand? You had to
Right.
make a proposal to your school, okay?
I think we'll start on the
Anybody who is watching this is going to have to make a proposal to somebody, either to a school or to a parent. Oh,
Yeah, so the beginning is hold up, my computer's a bit lagging a bit. In the beginning was more of an introduction to it as we did. This is the introduction and the benefits and whatnot. So then this was a example of pictures. So like if you can see in this one a picture, this is like a commercial indoor farm, which they sell actually. And then you saw this is the what you need, and this is the energy consumption and like the how much it would cost. And this was actually where we proposed where we would have these so-called indoor vertical farms in our school. And then here was microgreens saying that what we would grow specifically. And this was more information on microgreens. So I think this information might be useful.
yes, it's extremely useful. So I have a question. If people contacted you, could you send them a copy of this presentation that they could then use to present to their own school?
I think by definitely, if one of our teacher advisors were introduced, we will definitely send them a copy.
Because I mean, yes, they might have to change some of the language and some of the prices, but they wouldn't have to reinvent everything. This would be something that students could do. So if there's any students out there listening, and I know there's a lot, or there's teachers out there watching this, and I know there's a lot, please contact them and or contact me, and I will connect you with them, and they will share this presentation with you so you can put this into your own school. This is
I
very
think I'd
good.
also like to just say, it seems off topic. You had a very nice picture there of where you proposed to build your vertical indoor garden at your school. There are a lot of places in the world that people live in very high-rise blocks and these large blocks of flats, apartments, etc. Wouldn't it be lovely if every second or third floor was set aside for vertical gardens that you could also rent for as an allotment, because your unit might be too small to have your own vertical garden. So perhaps that's a whole new adventure for somebody at your school to investigate property and sell the concept to new buildings going up, or to reusing buildings that are not in use at the moment. Those kinds of things. Thank you.
Yes, that's a very good point. It's a very good point. I think almost every building has some room somewhere that isn't actually being used, and it's something that can be put to a better function than just storing, paper, which they did a lot. Very good. Well, we only have a few minutes left. Can you give a final conclusion, a wrap up of your proposal, and why it's good, what it is, and what people should be thinking about?
Yeah, okay. So basically, what is the benefit of implementing this type of concept and farming for you as a citizen on an everyday life? If you want to help the world become a better place in the sense of being independent and growing your own food instead of contributing to food wastage and food shortage, this is definitely step one for you, and is achievable by people of all ages, from no matter how young or how old you are. Yeah, I think that will be all for us today.
That was very, very good. Thank you very much. That was very interesting. Congratulations on this. And
I think I have to go and start a herb garden somewhere quickly. So I can grow some herbs and microgreens, but some herbs will do me fine.
well, good luck to both of you, and good luck to all the people who are watching, who are now going to be starting their own gardens and their own plants and growing their own food. And you may have changed the world. And I think that's quite an accomplishment.
I commend you both. Congratulations.
Thank
Wonderful
you.
work that you've done, obviously with much focus and a lot of effort. So congratulations to you both.
Thank you guys for having us.
And please give my congratulations to your teachers and mentors who helped you get this far. I know they must be very proud of you.